Hello, everybody. This is Anand. I wanted to welcome you. We have a couple minutes. We're going to wait for folks to join, but thank you all for taking the time. And as soon as the couple minutes passes, we will start on this. In the meantime, you have the chat available on the right side. So if you want to have any questions, you can put them in the chat, and we'll try and get to them as best as we can. Hi, David. We see you. Awesome. So hang on 1 second. So there you go. Hi, Bobby. Hey, Maria. Naz. Betty. Thanks, Eric. Jackie. Martha. Hey, Martha, you made it. It's awesome. Yeah. Thank you, Catherine. Madison. Hi. Oh, Daniel's on here. Hey, Daniel. Hi, Alan. This is awesome. Hey, Warren. So again, for folks that are just joining, hey, Dove, how are you? For folks that are just joining, we're going to give it one more minute before we get started, just so to let people in, right? So, Mike, cold in Minnesota. Look, I'm in Southern California at 70 degrees in my house the other day. I had to turn on the heater and go find a jacket. So I don't know how you all make it out there in the East Coast and Minnesota. Uh, hey, David. There you go. So, in fact, I think I have my jacket somewhere here because it's so cold. Phoenix, 63. Oh, God. Below 70, and I think I won't step out. So, Martin. Hi, Rob. There you go. 5 in Minnesota. Oh, my God. How is that possible? So, 76. There you go, David. I think I can move to Miami and or Southern California where I'm at right now. It's fine. 16 in Wisconsin. Eesh. Yeah, I'd never make it anywhere else. So, all right, folks, I think we've got quite a few folks coming in here. So, appreciate that. I'm super excited for this webinar. For some of you that are new to Pulse 360 or have not seen Pulse 360 before, just to kind of give you an idea of where this is coming from. So, for folks that don't know, I was in the financial advisor world for 2 decades. And now I have trademarked this line, which is I've done everything from serve coffee to clients to compliance. So I know the amount of work that you all do, and so much of it is manual, especially when it comes to client communications, be it with different types of deliverables. It could be as simple as an agenda versus, also doing annual summaries or follow-up emails. All of that just takes so long. And so that's kind of where Pulse 360 was really came from. It's like we need to make it easy for you to be able to nicely document the advice you're delivering to your clients so they see your value. You don't need to be bogged down with it, right? And spend 30, 40 minutes. And as you'll see here, Michael will share his experience naturally. And sometimes we just leave it, right? Because let's not even bother because it takes so much time and we'll move on to the next meeting. So the idea is with Pulse 360, you can create all sorts of different deliverables. And then what we did is we tie it in with your CRM so that you could have actions like tasks being automatically created based on what you're recommending. And or also maybe trigger a workflow. Either Redtail, Wealthbox does that. With Salesforce, we're right now able to create the tasks. So there are three CRMs that we currently integrate with, and we continue to look to add more. We recently added Riskalyze as well. So here I wanted to kind of just share a little bit of kind of the different types of deliverables that you can create, right? I've only talked about mainly the agendas and the annual summary and maybe the follow-ups, but you can create goal summaries, you can create the tax impact summaries as you're seeing. And then as what Michael is going to share here, he spent time thinking through what he wants to be able to do on a repeatable basis, is to create these different types of deliverables. So for him, it's this one, it's going to be the tax planning review. So let's kind of show you what you basically end up doing today. So I'm going to go and share this different screen here, and then we'll show you kind of how you're actually probably doing, you or your team is likely doing a deliverable, right? I'm going to cringe at this, and I apologize. I'm going to look over here just because that's where my monitor is on this one. But, I'm going to cringe because this is the way that most advisors end up doing a deliverable. You may have some sort of a formatting already, which I've applied here. But, if I want to, for example, go and create a recommendations for tax, I'm going to start saying, what I recommend consider, doing a Roth conversion, let's just say, right? Now, as you can see, this is bolded because of my bullet point, and I got to go unbold this. All of this, and of course I misspell it right there, all of this takes time. And so what we're going to show you is how you can use Pulse 360 to really, really create different types of deliverables and make them so that once you set them up, then it's just a repeatable process and it saves you a ton of time, right? The time will be spent in the beginning to kind of share the different or create these things. And let me kind of show you what Michael is going to share here. So for example, Michael is going to share you this tax planning conversions, right? That how he has put this together, the thought process that went into this. And then of course, I'm going to show you here another one. This is the employee benefits review that he also recently created, which is amazing, that he can now put this together in Pulse. And, I'll let him speak to the kind of the time savings that he's seeing. Naturally, there's a time to spend in the beginning to build this framework, but once it's built, he can share the amount of time that he's saving versus what he was doing. So with that, Michael, I wanted to start introducing you, and actually before I do, I have a quick poll that I wanted to get everybody's answers to. So I'm going to put this poll as an active. I want to know what are some of the ways that you're creating some deliverables today. So you should have this poll that comes up on the right side. If you can start voting on that. Now, obviously, some of you are Pulse 360 users and others are not. You may not even be doing it because there's just so much time it takes, right? So this is awesome. Thank you all for taking the time here to kind of fill this out as far as the poll is concerned. So yeah, the manual Word templates and manual emails are the way. And what you're going to see here today, I can hope to convince you to see, hey, there is technology out there that can make your life easier over the long term, so that you can continue spending more time in front of clients rather than behind a computer trying to draft up these using Word templates and or emails, right? So with that, I wanted to introduce Michael here. So Michael, welcome, and thank you so much for doing this for us. Michael has been a user of Pulse 360 pretty much, I would say, since day one. He's gone through a couple of different iterations, and so Michael, do you want to introduce yourself, and then this is your show, you take it over, and as you have different items to share, I will start shifting out the screen there.
Yeah, so my name is Michael Mustian, and I'm the founder and financial planner here at Wiseway Advisors in the Charlotte, North Carolina area. Just finished my third year as a firm. I'm a fee-only firm and a member of several different networks, but really didn't come from a financial planning background. I was actually a pastor for 20 years, an executive pastor. And so to me, obviously, operations and things like that were very important as an executive pastor. And I was trying to figure out what are some tools and all that I could take that into the financial planning world. And so I'm always looking at processes and operations. And that's how I stumbled upon Pulse 360. Again, so part of what I try to do is just built on my experience. I'm not an expert. I wouldn't even consider myself like a real power user. Just that I figured out some things that have really helped me just speed up the process. I don't know if you're like me, but I hate follow up. Like I love the analysis part. I love the people part. I was a pastor. I hate the detail part. I hate the follow up part. And so for me, what I was struggling with was when I have a meeting with the client, I would take forever. Like I would just put off the follow up because it just was so cumbersome in my mind. And so what Pulse 360 has enabled me to do is do very fast follow up, usually within 24 hours. Whereas before, it would take me like I'd literally put it off like a week and then, promise to my clients I would get their follow up in a week. And now many times I can do it the same day and definitely within 24 hours. And it really takes me maybe 10 to 20 minutes to really do everything. So before I dive into showing you how I actually put the tax planning document together, I just have a few kind of ideas I wanted to walk through. And that is here with, I just put it like a PowerPoint together as well. So what I've done is this, and what I realized is this, is the more time you spend thinking through the why, the better your outcome. And I know that many of us, we are super busy. We wear so many hats. We have so many things going on, but really taking the time to plan out the why behind your client deliverables and even your whole processes, that's going to really make a huge difference. So for me, I saw things through three different kind of frameworks. The lens of which I was looking at things, the impact that it could make, and the win for that area. So, like the first thing is the process. So, even though we're just talking about deliverables, it really fits into a larger process, and that's how you, when you look at that, the impact it could have is on your capacity. You can serve more clients. You can serve clients even faster and easier. And the big thing for me is you can focus on the topic. In this case, it's tax planning, not how you do it. You don't stare at a blank screen and try to figure out like, how do I want to phrase this? What's the structure I need to use? What are all the things that need to happen? You're really just focusing on tax planning, the topic. The second lens I looked at things through is technology, and that impacts your efficiency as a firm. So what you want to be able to do is enable just fast actions, fast follow-ups, and remove the barriers that occur naturally in delivering things to your clients. And so that goes to things like Pulse 360. It also goes to things like tax planning in particular. I utilize Holistiflan. So those are the kinds of things that impact this area. And then the third lens is for the clients. And this is like, in the end, I mean, how effective are you going to be? Are they going to appreciate? Are they going to see the value you provide? And what do they want out of the process? So those are the three lenses that went into the why. And from there, here's the kind of the four steps that I went through. Step one is I started with a topic that's going to impact the most clients. And you're not going to get this right at first. I definitely didn't get this right at first. I started with a proposal because, again, I'm meeting constantly with new folks. And so I'm like, this is something that if I streamline this process, that's going to be really awesome. So I started with a proposal. Kind of version 2 was a retirement planning. And what you're seeing is tax planning today. So it's like the third version. And your version 1 is not going to look this good. My version 1, there's a reason I'm not showing you my version 1, right? I'm showing you like my version 3, okay? And then investment policy statement was the fourth thing I've done. And then the employee benefits review I actually just did yesterday for a client. And so that just tells you how fast you can do. Once you have your first structure done, the others are just boom, 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 really fast. Step two, again, looking at that client lens is what's most important to the client. So when I thought about tax planning, what does every client want to know? Like, what's my refund? What's the damage, right? That's what they want to know. So that's one of the very first things that I put in this deliverable. They want to be able to not have tax surprises. Okay, so the time for them to know what taxes they need to pay for this tax filing season is not right now or not after they meet with the CPA. It's back in the fall or early or late summer when we met to be sure we can make changes to where they didn't owe a lot of money or have penalties or things like that. A third thing is to really document all your actions. So not only is this a client deliverable, but the beautiful thing about Pulse 360 is that it integrates with your CRM. And so with when you have an audit with your regulators, everything is documented there, and it's all in one action, which is really awesome. And it's actually automatically done. Another benefit is for clients is communicate with CPA. Is you now have all of your things documented that you did with your client, so that way you can then produce any kind of information to go along with the client when they file their taxes. And a thing for me is I wanted this deliverable to be very brief, but also have supporting materials. And you'll see how I did that as well. Step three is how should the document be structured? And so to me, I got this just from really the basics of financial planning and CFP work is I have your standard observations and recommendations, but I kind of broke out recommendations to really what I consider recommendations are things that I would need to help the client with and I would need to initiate. And then the client action items are the things that the client would need to really implement. Then I wanted a place where there's just really a list of supporting materials. And then finally, I wanted like, what's our next meeting? What's the next topic we're going to do? So those are basically, that's how the structure of my deliverables. And then last is once you kind of have the structure of the deliverable, how do you kind of do like the actual items? Well, for me with tax planning or any other topic, I started with just something that's very common observation, common recommendation. Then I wrote out the statement with client specifics. Then I replaced those variables that would differ from client to client with what I call flex fields. And we'll take a look at that in Pulse 360. So that's what I have right now. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and then move over to Pulse 360 and
So while
share.
you're doing that, a couple of questions came through, and I want to make sure that I help address this. So, Michelle,
Sure.
yes, Michael is about to now jump in to actually show you that. And then, of course, Michelle, reach out to us at support@pulse360.com, and we can help you walk through different types of templates that you may want to create. I do have another feedback here, or actually housekeeping item. There will be a replay of this, so if you folks do need to jump, you will automatically get that since you've registered for this. So, all right. So thanks, Michael. Go ahead and take it away.
Okay, so here we have, and I guess maybe I should kind of start from the beginning, maybe just the workspace. There we go. So when you log into Pulse 360, you can actually select your client. So I have mine honestly integrated with Redtail, which is the CRM that I use. So you select your client, you select an action, so you can create a review agenda or a summary. So these are summaries because they happen after the meeting. I'm not even going to talk about today, like how you can use Pulse 360 for agendas. And then you select the meeting. So this is today at 2 p.m. And you have all these different templates, which we're going to look at the tax planning summary. So here what I have is create a new note. You can create a new note if you're doing something from scratch, and that there's a lot of options there. But I have actually input all these notes in the library, and you can create um, all these different notes that are there. And it looks like a lot, but then you could filter it just by the topic. So let's just say that we want to look at some topics here. And I don't have that many tax planning observations, but um, this is one. So let's say I want to do this. You can either click it or you can just click it there and say, hey, here's your income. So let's say we have, you see there's these flex fields here. So you have adjusted gross income, taxable income, and the year. And I get all of these values from my tax planning software. So let's just say that their income is like $80,000, taxable income is $60,000, and it's 2021. Okay. So when you do that, you add the note and you kind of see, boom, it starts to fill in this part over here where it gives you a preview of that. And so all of this is already typed out. All I had to do was really input the specific client information. So, and again, the way I've done this is, what does the client want to know? They want to know, you know, different things like what is their income, other things like that. And this is actually not the most important thing they want to know. This is what they really want to know, right? They want to know what the damage is. So the damage is this right here. So the total tax, let's just say, is $10,000. They withheld $12,000. And I put in these brackets what words or what options that I think would be most important. Well, here they're going to receive a tax refund of about $2,000. And you can see with this one, I bolded it. And then I want to make this first. So all I have to do is drag and drop this, boom. And that is the very first thing that they're going to see. Like, isn't that awesome? So with just a couple clicks really fast, you can reorder these, you put these under observations. It is totally, totally flexible. So then let's see what else you can do. So again, add another thing to the library. Let's see, go to the library. Let's go to observations here. And no, it's a recommendation. Let's see. So this is something that is really cool and this is happens to be an action item. So again, you put the year. We made a qualified charitable distribution, okay, from their traditional IRAs in the amount of $28,000, okay. So again, I have these flex fields that are there, and then boom, I add it. Now look where I added this. I added this in a special box that I created that is gray, what is the client action steps, okay? And this is something that you want to be sure. I mean, how many times have you made a qualified charitable distribution? Maybe the client forgot to tell that to their CPA. They had their taxes filed. And with that, you know, when you get a 1099, like from TD Ameritrade, it doesn't always say, like, it doesn't really say at all, was this a qualified charitable distribution or not? And then they end up having to pay taxes on that. You don't catch that till after it's already done. Well, here, you've got that already. You've got a checkbox. It's highlighted with the client area. So that's there. Another thing you can do is create a task here, by the way, is just add it if it's something very specific, you know, saying, hey, yeah, we gave to your church or something like that. One cool thing as well is you could take and create a recommendation to, let's say we want to do a Roth IRA conversion. So here we are. It's like, hey, we want to do a conversion of $30,000, but that's going to cause a $10,000 tax increase for this year. And so that's there. Now, when you do this, you can see a tag and you can actually add tags, and boom, there's a tax impact tag. And what's really cool about having tags is you can also create reports that provide value to the client, provide a tax impact to the client. Um, all those different things are options there. And the last thing is, let's say you have many things are like you've got something very specific to a client. So you can have some general things that apply to a lot of clients, but also some very specific things. So this is a template here where you're helping them decide between health insurance. So let's say they have a provider organization and they also have a high deductible health plan. Okay, and we actually want to recommend the high deductible health plan. So this is very common. This is the common thing you have with clients is you have, hey, you've got these two different plans. Here's your choices. But a lot of times the reasoning behind that is very specific to the client and very specific to the plan. So what you do then, I've created this template to where there's bullet points. It's like, hey, the difference in premiums, and this is how easy it is to add something that is very specific to the client, is only, let's say, $3,000 per year. And then you can say the difference in the deductible is only, let's just say, oh, I have spelling issues as well, is only 1,500 per year. So you can do that, and heck, you can even create those as templates. It just depends. I just didn't want to have a lot of different, bullet points. So that's how easy it is. And then boom, you can see how that's right there. So those are just different action steps you can do.
And
It's
Michael, you also had the supporting materials, right?
Oh yeah. So let's just say we wanted to create a note, supporting materials. You can kind of see I've highlighted these there. Well, with this, what you want to do is I have a supporting materials section, which all I've done is just created a little note. And so let's just say I have a 2021 tax projection. So there's one of the supporting materials. Do you see how this template, which is really cool, these sections don't pop up until you populate them. And so only the things that you're populating will show up. Then what you do, what I've done is you can create a PDF. That's my preference. Sometimes you want to email these, sometimes you want to do a PDF. I've done a PDF where I have a header and a footer that's a part of the PDF. And you can see that adds it to there and makes it just a really nice presentation. So, and I wanted to walk through that with you. This is kind of a full one that I've done. So again, I've got the supporting materials there. One of the things about my firm is I talk a lot about people's vision and values. And so I have a little blurb what specific thing we're doing is really tied to their vision, and taxes and everything's tied together. So I've got all of the observations there, the recommendations there, their action steps there, along with their upcoming conversations. So that pulls it together. So
Michael, we have some questions, and hopefully you can show a couple of things here. Are you able to create a new event and show how you added the supporting detail, or maybe delete the supporting detail and re-add it so that folks see? And then they also want to see the behind the scenes of the framework of the document template of this tax planning.
yeah. So the great thing is with Pulse 360, you have templates. And so this is my tax planning template. It's very simple. But what Pulse 360 does is you have your page, then you also have blocks. So you can have different blocks. And what's cool about that is, some blocks you can use on different templates. So you can use upcoming conversations, for instance, or action steps or anything like that is a block, but you can use it on how many other kinds of meetings you have with clients. So so this is the supporting materials. Then so the block for that is actually here, and let's just say you can scroll up and down, but you can also search for it. So and I have this under vision, tax vision, and documents. So I search for that here. This is actually a table. And what I've kind of thought about and the way I kind of went into this is, the vision part is not that big. I don't want to create a whole big section for supporting materials, but you know what? This is something I maybe like use like a post-it note for. It's like, hey, don't forget, here's all those supporting materials. So I created like a yellow post-it note square, and it's right there. And so all you want to do when you create these block templates is you have all these merged fields. So I just did topic and supporting materials there. And if you're a Pulse 360 user, what I did is not show the header. You can actually do these things where you show the header, never show the header. I mean, there's just a lot of cool stuff here. And then boom, you save the block. And whenever you put in supporting material, this block appears on your template. So this is only 4 blocks. So your vision and taxes, observations, recommendations, and again, all of it's tax related. So it's very specific to taxes in this case, but you can also do a generic observations and have multiple topics, recommendations with multiple topics. You can have different options there. And so that's how I put together. So to really put together a template, all you have to do is let's create this new template. And let's say I want to do like a insurance review. Okay. So I want to create that. So we go to insurance review, it's blank. How do I add a block? Boom. So let's just say I want to add a vision block because I always want to tie it back to the vision. So I add that block. So that is the first block I would add. I'm reiterating the vision. Then let's just say I want to do like observations. So, and this is just a different format I added. So I added this block. So I'm creating observations. Then I create another block, do recommendations. So there's a recommendations block right there. Then I add a client to do. And I have different ones. And so let's just say I add this one right here of action steps. Boom, there it is. So that's kind of how I do that. So any questions about that?
No, I think people were just wondering on how these templates work, and then can you show actually how the supporting material came through? So maybe if you want to delete the supporting one in here and re-add it from the note library so they can see how that actually is done.
Yeah, so the supporting material came through because it's there, but it doesn't appear in your workspace, but it does appear in the template. So it'll actually show up when I add a note from a library. And I have, again, this is the supporting materials that is used in so many different templates. So it's not related to taxes in particular, but I just want to take and add it to the note. Boom, there it is. So it's just a bullet point. That's all it is at this point. And then you have to add supporting document name. Now, and there it is. One thing that I did forget to mention is there's a lot of different topics, and one of the coolest things that I've been able to see is there's collections. So let's go to so you can have different collections. You can see I have 5 here right now that I use. You can click on tax planning, and all of my tax planning things that I need, regardless of the topic, is in this one section. And so all I have to do is say, okay, this client needs these, it doesn't need that one. They don't need this one either. And so boom, I just add selected to the contact and it all populates. And then when you do that, You just fill in the fields. It'll give you a prompt to fill in the different ones. And that is, so instead of trying to search for each one that you may or may not need, now you have a collection of things that you would use. It simplifies it and it's awesome. And it makes it very super fast. So,
Awesome. So thank you, Michael, for that. Let me just go through some of the questions that I have and I'll sort of answer here. So, Stephanie, I think the question you asked, I want to re-answer this one here. The recommendations that Michael has made here, that he saved into his note template library, those can be used across different clients. And of course, you customize and personalize because every client is going to be a little bit different, right? So you have full power in that. And then you can go back later, if you've added it, is you can create different types of deliverables afterwards. For the tables, for the color, I know you asked, I think, Melinda, you asked. So the colors are basically in the table itself. When you select that table, you can, you have a select set of palette of colors that you can choose from, and then it'll be there. So Brent, the colors, there are a variety of colors, but we don't have every color under the world just yet. It's something we've done it in a way because different browsers show colors differently and whatnot. So we had to kind of go through the color matching to make sure, Chrome, Safari, Edge, all of them are kind of working. So we'll add colors. Believe it or not, as simple as it may sound, it's a little bit more complicated, but we will go ahead and add that and add more to it. And Madison, when you were asking basically, when getting started with Pulse, is it best to make reusable blocks first and then create the template from there? I think what Michael has done is, a better way of going about it is to kind of think about what's the end result document that you want. And then say like how he structured, he wants observations, he wants recommendations and action items, in a certain order. Once you have that, at least in your mind, then you can connect with our team and we can help you put it together, at least one of them, two of them. You can see how that goes. And then it'll become rather easy. Like Michael said, he created this employee benefit ones really fast after he did the first one. So, Brian, you're saying you need an IT person. No, you can reach out to us. We're here for you. And then, Doug, let me see here. I want to make sure that I help answer everybody's questions here. Let's go through. Oh, Michael, some of the questions was, would you be open to sharing, kind of the templates and this with the advisor community? And I know you and I had spoken before that we knew this question was going to come up.
yeah.
I think you've been gracious to say, yeah, yes, correct?
Yeah, that's definitely something I'll be glad to do. And uh, one thing I forgot to mention earlier is uh, I'm not getting paid for this, so I'm not like, if anybody signs up, like I don't get a cut of any signups or anything. I've just seen how it's been really awesome for my practice, and so many other advisors have, invested in me, and so I thought this was a cool way that I can invest with other folks. And um, this is probably the first webinar we'll do, and I've, I, to me, there's so much that you can do with Pulse 360 and so many ways that we can help and different ideas that I have that I'm sure we can do stuff in the future as well. So,
Yeah. So let me just kind of answer some other things. So thank you, Michael, for being gracious enough. Just so folks that know, if you want to get these templates, please email us at support@pulse360.com if you're already a Pulse 360 user. So we know who really wants that, and then we'll take the time to go in. It does take us a little time just because everybody's setup is so different. So we have to kind of move that along, but we will get you there. Previously, we had done a webinar with David Littlejohn. For folks that don't know, in fact, let me put that link in here. You can watch how David did his virtual reviews. And advisors, some of you had asked, let me just copy this link here. Advisors, some of you had asked for his templates and whatnot. And for whoever asked, we have put them in. We may not have communicated to you that we've put it in, but it's there. So we will be, if you look for a tag for, I think we named it Little John, you'll see them there, but reach out to us if you don't see them. And here's the webinar replay from David's that you can watch as well. Now, just some other questions that I want to make sure I get through here. So, you should make an open template form for all of us to share. Yes, Brian. In fact, we actually have a patent pending on this particular feature so that all advisors can, if they are open to, sharing not only these note templates, but any of this, because I think I come from the industry and I know all of us love to share best practices with each other. We're not guarding our secrets in any which way. We're a very open community. So I've actually filed a patent to enable that exact thing. Now, let me see here, just to kind of make sure. Um, I went to the website. So I think Keith and Doug, both of you have gotten security alerts on our main marketing website. I'm gonna go check it out. Maybe it's just our license. We have to have something updated. That's kind of weird, but I'll go double check. And then Betty. So yes, Betty, the tables are actually you can put them and create them in individual notes and or in the template, like what Michael had done. You can also, of course, paste an Excel image if you want. You can paste anything. You can paste any image you want, photos, whatever, into the notes, no problem, right?
Yeah,
And
I
then,
would say it's very powerful, and the tables are really easy to use. And so, like, it's really, like, I'll just share this with you. You have, this is the table, so it's 3 columns, and this is kind of what you have here. You can make the edges visible or not visible. There's all these different options that are there. You can create colors. So people were asking about colors, add rows, columns. There's just a lot of different options with tables. And as you can see, you can also put images in there. So like if you're using other like planning software, you can actually take a screenshot of an image and post it in here in like a summary. So there's lots of different options that you can do.
yeah, and James, you were asking about integration with Zapier. We actually started the integration with Zapier, but I had to pause. We will be bringing it, but the reason we paused is because it seems like none of the other industry softwares are really utilizing all the power that Zapier can potentially give you. So we were thinking, why are we building this when we can't do some things in other software? We are going to bring it now because we've started realizing advisors are actually going outside of the industry and getting different pieces of technology. So we will be bringing that over. Hopefully before the summer is out, we should have Zapier. And of course, there's different use cases, so we're evaluating that. If you have, you can email us an idea of how you would use Zapier, and then we can make sure we build it accordingly, right? This is being built. We do listen to all of your feedback, as I'm sure Michael will tell you. A lot of features that we continue to build is directly from the feedback we're getting from all of you. Trisha, you asked about the end deliverable. It can be a PDF, it could be an email, it could be printed. It's up to you on how you do that, right? So let me make sure that I kind of ask and get all the others. Let's see. Mark, that answers your question as well. And yeah, does Pulse 360 help us get the deliverable to the client and filed? So yeah, you can use Pulse 360 to create all sorts of deliverables, right? I have a trade transaction deliverable, for example. If a client calls you for money, you can quickly email them back saying, hey, just to recap, here's what we talked about, and we're going to process your trade, right? So you can create all sorts of deliverable. I don't know what you mean by filed. I'm assuming with your CRM, well, all these notes go back into CRM for official books and record keeping purposes. The email that's sent is using your email, so it will sit in your sent folder after as well, right? And let me see here, any other questions? So James, are deliverables always connected to an event? What if I have a deliverable that's not tied to a meeting? Yes, James. So we built Pulse 360 with the meetings in mind, or some sort of a date in mind, but we did have a new quick notes function that we've added that is not connected to any event, but you can use quick notes. It's just a basket and you can add and create different deliverables off of that, right, if you'd like. And Chris, you're asking, you saw a checkbox. Yes. So Michael is using a trick of putting a checkbox in. We're bringing in the checkbox. I can't believe it's that complicated to bring in checkbox, but bear with me, folks. We will bring in an ability for you to just do that simply. But Michael has used, I think he used some character mapping software and figured
It's
out.
an alt
Oh,
code. It's an alt code, which I just put in what I thought was the one, but it's not the right one. So I need to figure out which one it is. But there are alt codes that give you characters and symbols, and so you
sure.
can hold down alt, and it's usually a digit. So I don't. I'd have to look that up. So I can't remember what
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah. So, and Chris, you can reach out to us, but we will be bringing that hopefully in a month or two. Anyways, we're updating a lot on the editor to bring it even more power for you. So stay tuned on that. Maureen, for follow-ups, yeah, the follow-ups is the same as kind of what Michael did here, right? He had a tax planning meeting with the client, and then he put that together, and then he, in his case, he's creating a PDF and sending that to the client. You could just email it directly if you'd like. So you can create all sorts of follow-ups, maybe just a normal email follow-up, right, with everything else talking about it. If you'd like, let me put in our demo. So for folks that want to do a demo, please go to our website and /demo, and you can put in your information and schedule that. I understand there's some security licensing that we may need to go and update. I'll look at it after, but uh, you can just go through and say, take me to the site. It should not be a big issue. And then let me see for another question here. For Zapier, we have client input data into schedule once, and this is from Stephanie, that we send an activity. If that data could be transferred into an agenda for a client, that would save a step. We usually copy and paste. So if the activity is in Redtail, we're automatically pulling that for you anyways. So that takes care of it. And then with the templates, you can have their names and meeting date and time, all of that just be coming in automatically there. So you don't need to do copy and paste. Unable to view replay link due to currently issues, connection not private. Yeah, I'm not sure what's happened with our marketing website. I'm gonna have to go look at it. I apologize for that. We'll go ahead and fix that. Do you have a voice to text capability? So, Betty, voice to text is something we're gonna look at bringing with a mobile assistant, but actually today, lots of advisors are already utilizing their iPad with the keyboard. There's a mic button right there that you can use that. But also, actually, on Windows, and I'll just kind of see if I can share with you here. Give me 1 second. You can actually do this today with Windows, and I'm sure Mac also has it. I apologize. I'm not a Mac person, so I don't know. But let me kind of share with you what I'm going to do and see, so you can all see how we can do this live. So here on my screen, I'm going to go ahead and use voice to text. So you can add voice to text in any area in Windows. At least, well, I have Windows 11, Windows 10 may be different, but you can put the Windows key and then H. And what that will start is the mic button. And now whatever you talk will be converted, as you can see it happening right now. So I'm going to stop that. So hopefully that helps answer for you, Debbie, that how you can use voice to text to create these things, right? Let me see. Will you send out the recordings?
Anand,
Yes. Yes.
I
Go
was going
ahead.
to. Yeah, there is a recording. I was going to answer one question about follow up.
Sure.
And I was going to share my screen.
Yeah. Let me stop mine share. So there you go.
So, so you can actually send an email to the client just following up with this. You can also, for me, what I do is I have a client vault, and so I don't want to have some documents in emails. People, it can get lost. Sometimes there's sensitive information. So I just download it to PDF. But one thing that's really cool, and I haven't even taken advantage of this again, is in this tax planning recommendation, where we're doing like a Roth IRA conversion. This little symbol here says that this is attached to a Roth conversion workflow. So I actually have a Roth conversion workflow in Redtail that this has started for this client. And there's the deadlines come over. So all of this, it triggers a workflow, and that way, boom, you have this workflow started. And again, I haven't used this a lot, but there's several different automations I've been able to use between the CRM and Pulse 360, where we don't even need Zapier. It actually just integrates with Pulse 360 and Redtail already without the need for Zapier. So
Yeah, to that point, actually, for Zapier as well as what we're doing, right? So we use Zapier for different parts, and we use another system as well. Let me tell you the experience I've had. There's a lot of upkeep that you have to do. Make sure the zaps, if they fail, what's happening, all of that. What we're building with Pulse is basically the idea of Zapier, but directly built in and tied with the applications that you do use today for your own. And we're taking on making sure that these things are working. If they're failing, we're aware. We can go into our dashboard and see what integrations maybe are running slow. So, what we're building with every individual bullet point you're seeing is sort of a trigger of, hey, let me automate a task. Let me automate a workflow. Let me attach files to that. That is the exact idea of what we're doing here to save you a lot of time, right? Now, I think somebody else asked about recording. Yes, there is a replay. You registered for this. You will automatically, I think in a couple of hours' time, get the link for this replay. Later, we'll put it on our website as well, and then I will share with you all via email as well. So, and then Chris asked, Michael, is it possible for you to show the IPS template so folks can get an idea of that?
yeah, I can quickly.
Sure.
So this is um,
And I think I don't know if you have it in a collection or not. Maybe you just
I,
do that
I
or a
do.
previous one.
I
Yeah.
do. So there's two parts to the IPS. There's a part here which is kind of common to everybody, um, and then there's a part where you actually fill in different things. So my IPS is basically going through these 11 things. I actually have like a risk tolerance that's separate. I have a balance sheet that's separate because I do householding. And so I have kind of all of their different things that regulators look for, at least in my state, and then the target allocations based on that there as well. So these two things are the only inputs. And honestly, I've actually filled in these inputs with the client on the phone or on a Zoom thing and had it done. And then you to me you save this as a PDF and then send it via DocuSign, and the client signs it.
Yeah. So, and then I think, let me see here. For any of these questions, folks, if you would like, please reach out to us at support@pulse360.com. If you're already a member and you're using Pulse 360 to kind of help answer all of this and actually set these things up for your practice, there's a lot of power that you can have. Is the first step is going to be you recognizing that I want to be able to create a certain type of a document, right, or certain deliverable, be it an IPS, be it the tax planning review, be it the employee benefits review, like Michael has done. Just spend that time ahead of time and say, look, I want to be able to create that. And then when you do a call with us, we can help you think through and then put that together, basically together, so you can see how that will work. Bobby, from an IPS perspective, there is some, I think intellectual property that Michael, obviously cannot share that particular piece on there, but you can reach out to us and we can help you put together what maybe you can, if you already have an IPS there. So,
Yeah.
um,
So my IPS is from an organization called the Alliance of Comprehensive Planners. So that's the IPS that I use. So it's their property, not mine. So I modified it a little bit, but it belongs to them.
yeah.
But you can check them out too.
Yeah. And then Stephanie, you asked, are you able to send mass emails, like update everybody's IPS and send all at once? We don't have that capability yet. We're trying to figure out how to do this. Here's why we haven't brought that in. Every advisor and every client, you want to have control of what's going out and sending out. With a mass email, that's, let's just say, hey, it's time for your review. That's easy. But when it comes to recommendation and advice, you want to double check to make sure that what's going out to the client does fit. So for that reason, we haven't built the mass capability. We are trying to figure out a solution, and I think we've come up with an idea of how we will solve that, where you could do it. You could prepare mass today, like for example, what Michael just did for tax planning review, you could, in our 360 view, you can select 4 or 5, 100 clients and apply the same note templates, and then go into each client, fine tune what needs to be for a client, and then email that out from there. So that option is there. So Martin, you're getting amazing things from folks here, right? Betty's saying you're amazing, and Martin as well. So yeah, any other last questions, folks? Here we're coming up on time, so I want to make sure that we have Michael here to address, or me as well. Um, do you integrate with Hubly? We don't just yet. We have had conversations about that. So it is something that we will look to figure out how we can do. So our next integration, for folks that don't know, is Precise FP that will be coming. And then we're going to make a huge editor change where we're going to give you even more superpowers there. Also, one other request I have for folks that do use Pulse 360 right now, I'm going to send an email out later this week, most likely on Friday, with a survey link that T3 puts out. They finally put us on there, so I would love for you all to take a couple of minutes and fill out what your thoughts are on Pulse 360. That way, we can get on the radar of the newspapers and everybody else in the industry. So really appreciate that. So Tricia, the pricing, we can't see the webpage. I'm sorry. I'm gonna go look at it and then I'll email you back after. That's really, really odd. I don't know what's happened there, so I apologize for that. And then I guess that's it, right? There's no other last questions. When's the next webinar like this coming? These are really helpful. So thank you. I figured that out with David. You all told me, hey, you needed something like this. So David was gracious enough to share his time. Michael has been gracious enough to kind of share all of this with you, and is gracious enough to share the tax planning review templates with you, which we will take on and transfer that. Give us time, please, on that. But do reach out to us. Let us know you do want that. And when the next one, as soon as I can find another advisor that is going to have the time to be able to set this up, I want to continue doing these types more and more. So absolutely. And I think, is there anything else? No other questions that I missed? I want to make sure. Poll results, if you haven't seen it, almost 60% of you are doing it manually. Ouch. So we need to get all of you onto Pulse 360 so you can, go back to doing what you do best, which is serving time more in front of clients than behind the scenes, right? Do we integrate with Advise-On? Not yet. Lots of different CRMs that we are looking to integrate this year. HubSpot will be our number one CRM that we're going to bring, because we have some advisors using HubSpot. They're using us without any CRM connection, just because of the deliverable element of Pulse 360, right? That's how powerful, some advisors are thinking of using Pulse 360, is that they don't mind that we don't have the CRM connection. I think some advisors are using Juncture that we don't integrate with, but they're still using Pulse 360. So eBix Smart Office, it's interesting, Mike. I used Smart Office for a long period. We've not integrated with them, but I will be reaching out to them because I do see that there's lots of advisors using that. WealthBox, yes. WealthBox, Redtail, and Salesforce are the 3 CRMs we integrate with, deeply integrate with. With both Redtail and WealthBox, we can trigger their workflows as well as create tasks in there. With Salesforce, we can create tasks. Workflows we'll be bringing on later in Salesforce. So I think, Michael, with the last couple of minutes here, thank you for being gracious enough to share your time, putting in the effort to actually do this as a success. I really, really appreciate it. I think you've blown me away with what is possible actually with Pulse 360. So thank you so much, Michael, and thank you for being gracious enough to share the tax planning template with Pulse 360 users.
My pleasure, and hope it helps everyone. So
yeah. So awesome. Well, thank you, everybody. If you have further questions, please email us at support@pulse360.com, and we'll help you there. If you haven't done the demo, please go to our website. I am going to look at what's going on with the website right away. So thank you so much. Take care.